While the Detroit Tigers are absolutely terrible, the Pistons are looking like they're going to get the first pick in the NBA draft, and the Red Wings are trying their best. The Detroit Lions are all that the city has left. And Calvin Johnson has been a big part of the excitement post Barry Sanders that you would have for the Lions. I know when I was kind of not growing up, I was already grown, but I remember the draft, the '07 draft, and Calvin Johnson being drafted and what he has meant, and watching him on Sunday when he didn't play, the rare occasions he didn't play. Like, we literally would watch the Lions to see Calvin Johnson when the Lions were 0-8, and we were watching for two reasons. One, to see if they won a game, and two, to watch Megatron play. And first ballot Hall of Famer, the relationship between him and the Detroit Lions has been strained over the past. He retired in 2016, so it's been like 8 years now since he's strapped up his cleats for the NFL for the Detroit Lions. And that relationship has been strained for the past 7 or 8 years. And as of late, he is coming around to repairing that relationship with the Detroit Lions. I should say they're repairing it with him. And the reason I brought up the Tigers is because Calvin Johnson was at the Tigers opening day at Comerica Park, and he not only threw out a pitch, but he was repping Lions gear. That does not happen. That tells you that there is progress being made in that relationship. And he was on Pat McAfee. I don't watch this show at all. I particularly don't care for Pat anymore, but I saw this thumbnail. It had our Hall of Fame receiver on there, and I had to click it. And I wind up watching it. I watch everything in double speed. And Calvin Johnson, Pat McAfee brought up Calvin not being around the football world. We know he's local. He has a couple businesses here. We know he came for the Hall of Fame. He didn't like booing Sheila Ford, all that stuff. And you could tell he wants to be part of what we're doing. I mean, we're the only team he's played for. He has that bond with the Detroit Lions, the fan base, the teammates. And it was something that he said that I'm like, okay, the Detroit Lions have to get this done immediately. I want this man to be in the fold by the time the new season begins. But here's what Johnson had to say when Pat McAfee asked him if you're not really in the football ethos, you're not around the football world, and if that relationship wasn't strained with the Detroit Lions, would you be? And here was Calvin's response to that question.
Your peers like that, man. I mean, that when you hear those videos or see those videos of a Pappy or Revis or any of those guys that I played against, you know, it's utmost respect, because some of those were the toughest competitors I had to go against. You know, so you know, I love it. It's freaking awesome, and 100%, man. If my life, if things weren't strained between the Lions and myself, 100%, I'll be a part of the football thing. I want to be a part of. I got too much. I feel like I got too much to give to, especially the receiver group, but not just the receiver group, just, you know, life things that things that I've been through that I could share with guys, and not only that, just I love being around it, so so my kids can see what I did and stuff like that. So 100%.
Hey, we got an idea for a once a week thing.
Listen, I am ready for this to happen. Calvin Johnson, man, get him back. As I said, y'all, I didn't really understand the whole setup. I just looked at Calvin as quite selfish at the time, but just like I've gotten to know more about the situation, and I understand now what they put him through, they being the Detroit Lions, and what he sacrificed. And from what is happening with Lamar Jackson, I will always side with the player from now on, because I see now beyond a shadow of a doubt that the NFL is a machine, and everything about it, 1 minute you're hot, the next minute you're not, and they care about the brand and the business. That's all that matters to them. So I will be pro player all the time. So Calvin Johnson, man, coming back into the fold for the Detroit Lions. You heard it from his mouth. He wants to be part of the organization. We need him to be. Barry Sanders, that was amended, and now we have to get our other first ballot Hall of Fame great, Calvin Johnson, man, back into the fold. So let me know, how do you feel about Calvin Johnson speaking publicly? This has been very quiet, very hush-hush about the relationship being repaired. Let me know in the comments below. My name is Derek. This is Detroit Lions Syndicate. Consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Try on a push to get to, I think, 9,400 in maybe a week. And if this is not your first time here, consider subscribing to the channel. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself. Let's get Calvin Johnson back at Ford Field. And as always, go Lions.